Alright, good evening everybody. It's your boy Keenan. Welcome to the Franchise Sports Talk College Football Blog. We are on now week 12 of the college football season, and this is going to be a very important week for all the conferences in college football because this week will determine many division championships within these conferences. Now I'm going to start with tonight's matchup in the MAC West Division game between Toledo at Northern Illinois. This is going to be a great game to watch. Now I have to go with the Huskies in this game because they have an outstanding quarterback who replaced another great quarterback in Chandler Harnish and quarterback Jordan Lynch. He's having a great season, over 1,300 yards rushing, 6th in the nation, 7.3 yards per carry, and 16 rushing touchdowns to go along with 19 passing touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He's definitely got my nomination and my nod for MAC Player of the Year. He's having a great season at quarterback with a one-loss team with the Northern Illinois. Now for Toledo, they have a good team as well in this Rocket team, but I think they're going to struggle in this matchup against Northern Illinois, and the Northern Illinois Huskies will represent that Western Division for the MAC Championship. Now I'm going to head over to the ACC Conference. Before I go back to the MAC Conference, UNC is going to be traveling to Virginia to face the Cavaliers. Now UNC needs to have this victory in order to stay alive in the Coastal Division of the ACC Conference. They need to not only win this game, they need Duke to beat Georgia Tech in this week's matchup, as well as Duke losing to Miami the following week in order for the Tar Heels to get the tiebreaker and make it to the ACC Championship. Now I think with this game they're going to get this victory. Giovanni Bernard will be leading the running attack while Brent Renner will be leading the passing attack. I have to go with UNC pulling off the win against a good Cavalier team who edged out at Miami at home last week. Now I'm going to stick with the Coastal Division. Duke, I've just mentioned before, they play Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech is going to ruin UNC's season and beat Duke. But the key in this matchup, Georgia Tech's pass defense is going to have to step up in this one. And their key losses this season, they ended up having a hard time in that pass defense. And Duke is known for passing the football. They don't really run the ball too much, 4.7 yards per carry among their top 2 carriers. But they still have a great receiver in Connor Vernon and at the leading receiver, and a good quarterback in Sean Murphy, who's having a decent senior season. So I think Georgia Tech is going to be in for a hard time in that pass defense, but I think they're going to do just good enough to beat this team and try to ruin things up and shake things up in that Coastal Division for the ACC Conference. Now I'm going to shift things over to the Atlantic Division. Number 11, Clemson is going to be hosting UNC State. Now late last season, NC State ended up ruining Clemson's season and pulverizing them in that matchup, but Clemson has the home field advantage, and they're looking to avenge last season's loss, and they need to stay alive, need to get this win in order to stay alive for the Atlantic Division. I'll have to go with the Clemson Tigers in this matchup. Now the team that they really need to lose this week is Florida, who's going to be playing at Maryland. Now this should be an easy win for FSU. With this win, they will make it to the ACC Championship. Now going back to Clemson, if Florida State makes it to the ACC Championship, the season is not over for Clemson. They can still fight for an at-large bid in the BCS bowl games. They can still be alive. They need to win this win and win this game, as well as win the next game against South Carolina, their arch rival. Now I'm going to head over to the Big Ten Conference. This is going to be a good matchup to watch, a good showdown between Wisconsin hosting Ohio State. Now, had not Ohio State been banned this season, they will represent that division and make it to the Big Ten Championship. Because of the ban of all the allegations they had a couple of years ago for the past couple of seasons in college football, they ended up being banned this season. Braxton Miller's leading this team to an undefeated year, and under new head coach Urban Meyer, they're having a great year, and they should represent that leaders division of the Big Ten Conference and make it to the Big Ten Championship. They're undefeated, and this is a top 5 team in my opinion. And with that being said, I'm going to go with Wisconsin losing in this game. I'm going to go with the Buckeyes in this one. Braxton Miller's having a Heisman-like season. Now for Wisconsin, they got that. They already have the berth of the Big Ten Championship. They're going to be waiting between either Michigan or Nebraska, who will be the next 2 games I'm going to talk about. Now I'm going to go to the Michigan game. They're ranked 21st in the nation. They're going to be hosting the Iowa Hawkeyes. Denard Robinson should be back in this one. I'm going to have to go with the Wolverines in this one in order to stay alive in the Legends division of the Big Ten Conference. Now, like I said, they're going to be battling between Nebraska. They're going to need Nebraska to lose either one of these 2 games and Michigan win the remaining of their games. Now, Nebraska, they have an easy matchup against Minnesota at at home at Lincoln. Should be an easy win. I'm gonna have to go with Nebraska in this one. But like I said, these next couple weeks in that Big Ten conference before Nebraska and Michigan, they really need to win this game in order to make it to the Big Ten championship. And Nebraska has the tiebreaker over Michigan, so Michigan needs Nebraska to lose either one of these two games or both of them. At that depends on what happens later on in this season. Now, I need to talk about a lot more games coming up this week. Next game I need to talk about, I mentioned, I need to go to the Big East game. This is going to be a Big East showdown between number 2 Rutgers at Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati can pull that upset, but I think that defense for Rutgers is going to do well enough. But the key for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, that offense needs to get the ball rolling again. Gary Nova has been struggling in the past couple of games, throwing 7 interceptions in the last 2 games, while running back Jawan Jameson has not rushed for over 100 yards for the last 2 games. Both these 2 players need to get back on track in order for Rutgers to stay undefeated and win the Big East Conference. Now, this is going to be a great matchup to watch. This is going to be at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a great team led by quarterback Munchie Legault. They can pull this upset, but I'm going to go with Rutgers in this one. I'm not going to go at this game as my upset game of the week, but this could be an upset alert for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. But I think that defense is going to do just good enough, and the offense will get a little bit better and get back on track. I'm going to go with Rutgers in this matchup. Now, I mentioned earlier about the MAC Conference. I talked about the Western Division. Now I'm going to head over to the East Division between Kent State and Bowling Green. Bowling Green shocked me a lot, beating Ohio in their matchup, led by running back Samuel, who rushed for over 150 yards in that matchup. Now they're going to be hosting in this game against a good Kent State team who only has 1 loss, just like Northern Illinois. 2 good teams. I really think Kent State's going to get the win and face Northern Illinois for the MAC championship. This is going to be a great game to watch. Now I'm going to head over to the Pac-12 conference. Number 18 USC is going to be playing at the Rose Bowl against arch rival UCLA, the number 17th ranked team in the nation. Now this game is extremely important because whoever wins this game will represent that Southern Division for the Pac-12 championship. Now I'm going to have to go with USC in this one because they just had so many expectations this season. I had them going to the national championship and winning the national championship at that. Now the defense is going to be very key for these games. These 2 teams, the defense is pretty evenly matched. UCLA gives up 23 points a game, while USC gives up 24 points a game. That's going to be it's a pretty even match. But I'm going to have to go with USC because they just had so much expectations and so much more talent offensively. I have to go with the Trojans with that win, represent the Southern Division of the South Division of the Pac-12 conference to make it to that championship. The quick game we need to talk about, number 3rd ranked team in the nation, Notre Dame. They're going to be hosting Wake Forest. This should be an easy win for Notre Dame, but like I said, but earlier in the season they've been struggling against Pittsburgh at home. They have been having some hard times at home for the past couple of games. Now, if Wake Forest is 5-5, I don't think they're going to pull the upset, but Notre Dame needs to get that offense together and be more consistent offensively and not depend too much on defense. This should be an easy win for Notre Dame, but I had to call this game out because they've been struggling at home, like against Stanford and against Pittsburgh, but I think this should be an easy win for them. Next game we need to talk about, a WAC Conference Championship game between number 20 Louisiana Tech and Utah State. Now I'm going to start things off with Louisiana Tech. This is a great team, another 1-loss team, just like Northern Illinois and Kent State. I think if these 3 teams did not have suffer those 1 losses, they will be a good BCS at-large bid. Seriously, especially for Louisiana Tech, who ended up having a 2-point loss, 59-57, against the Texas A&M team, who beat number 1, then number 1 Alabama. If they had beaten Texas A&M and stayed undefeated, Louisiana Tech should get an at-large bid for a BCS bowl game. This is a great team. They have a good freshman running back in Kenneth Dixon. He's having a great season. A new freshman touchdown record, 25 total touchdowns. That is an FBS record. He can still extend that record. He still has a couple of games left of the season. And they have a great receiver in Quentin Patton. And I think their quarterback, Colby Cameron, who's also going to be on the verge of setting a FBS record for most passes without interceptions. He's having a great season. And I think this is a good team overall. This is a BCS team. Seriously, I'm going to have to go with the Bulldogs in this one, but they need to be on the lookout alert for Utah State, because both these teams are undefeated in conference play. Both teams are 4-0, and the defensive edge goes to the Aggies in this one of Utah State. They give up 13 points a game, while their offense puts up 32 points a game. So they're going to keep it close, but I think the Bulldogs know what they're in for, and I think they're going to get the home victory against the Aggies in this one. I have to go with the Bulldogs. They're having a great year. Headed over to the Big 12 Conference, number 12 Oklahoma is going to be traveling to West Virginia to face the Mountaineers. Now, West Virginia, they're actually the most disappointing team in the Big 12 Conference this season. 4 straight losses. At first, I thought it was going to be Oklahoma State, but West Virginia had 4 straight losses, and I think they're going to get a 5th straight loss because of that defense. I think even some FCS schools, maybe even Division II schools, can outplay that defense for West Virginia. This should be a good win for Oklahoma, looking to stay alive and get in that large bid of the BCS bowl games, but we still have a lot of football left in college football. Next game we need to talk about, Baylor's going to be hosting number 1 Kansas State. This is an important matchup because Kansas State needs to pull these last 2 victories in order to win that Big 12 Conference and make it to the National Championship. If they win these next 2 games, they're in the National Championship. Coach Bill Snyder piled up a great team, disciplined team, good-minded team, and they work well together as a unit. I like this team a lot. This should be a win for Kansas State, but this could be an upset alert. But I have to go with Colin Klein and company. Colin Klein will definitely get that Heisman Trophy if this team stays undefeated. Now, last but not least, number 2 Oregon against number 13 Stanford. This is this week's game of the week, and this is going to be played at Eugene. The key for this game for Oregon, pretty much just do what they're normally doing, putting up a lot of big points, explosive plays, and use that speed. Now for Stanford, their best option is to give the ball to running back Stephon Taylor, because he does great against AP-ranked opponents. And when he gets the ball, he averages over 120 yards per game. And I think this is going to be key. If he pounds that rock pretty well and takes the time possession away from Oregon, Stanford has a great chance of winning this game. Plus, Stanford has a good defense. This is the same Stanford team that almost beat Notre Dame and beat USC. Could be an upset alert for the Oregon Ducks, but I think that defense has been doing a lot better, like they did better than last season, and I think because of that defense has been stepping up for the Oregon Ducks, and that offense has been continuing to do the same thing, I'm going to go to Oregon in this matchup. Now, the next time I'm going to catch you guys is on Monday to give you a recap of Week 12 of the college football season. Thank you for watching today's vlog from Franchise Sports Talk. I'm your man, Keenan McCall. Be easy.